Yesterday, someone asked me, how is it that I'm getting such great video of such a cheap camera? They were talking about the LUMIX S5 Mark II, and one of the videos that I did last year is like a mega walkthrough nearly every feature that you can find on an S5 Mark II, why you might want it for your stills photography, why you might want it for video. It is just a lot of value in one little camera body. And the question was coming at it from video. They're saying, how are you getting your video off that camera looking so good compared to most other stuff he's seeing on YouTube? And it's not about the camera. The short answer is it's about the light, because the light matters so much more than your choice of camera. So much of the online discussion when it comes to cameras focuses on specifications and details and whether one camera has a 2% advantage with autofocus compared to this other camera. People are just obsessed with the details and the specs and comparing different cameras. And the truth is, most cameras are very good. I say that as a LUMIX ambassador. I really like the LUMIX gear. I'm shooting this on a LUMIX S1R2 because that's the latest camera that they've given me. So when someone asks me what camera should they buy, my advice is usually pick the camera you like. Pick the camera that when you pick it up and it feels good and the controls are just in the right spot, that works for you and you like the way the menu system works. And if you like the camera, you're halfway there. That's the most important thing. We focus so much on whether or not one camera or one piece of gear is better than another. We forget about the task that we as a photographer have to get the best out of that gear. It is your job to find out what is the sweet spot for that lens? What's the sweet spot for the autofocus system on that particular camera for your particular needs? This whole idea that, oh, you should be using this camera because this thing is 2% better than some other brand. It's not a very interesting conversation, and it's confusing. People are stepping into photography and they're getting heaped on with technical advice. And is it useful? Does it actually help you take better photographs to be swimming through a whole bunch of tech specs? It's like when you buy a car. Do you need a big car? Do you need a little car? That's really the fundamental first thing you've got to ask yourself. You might then say, do I want one that runs on petrol or do I want an EV? There are reasons that one particular car might suit you better than another. But at the end of the day, most cars just get you from A to B and we're going to be okay at driving them. And cameras aren't going to kill anybody if you go around a corner too fast, but you still need to learn how to drive your camera. It's something that I see coming up a lot when people are talking about autofocus, and most people are not getting the best out of the autofocus on their camera. And some people don't need to. Like, some people aren't even using the autofocus. Like, if you're shooting landscape stuff, when do you need the autofocus? You know, like it's just not an issue. For some people like me, as your sight gets worse and worse as you get older, that autofocus is really, really critical. Especially if you're like me and you're shooting everything at f2. If the autofocus is out by just a little bit, then you've missed a shot. There are things I do to ameliorate that risk. I take a lot of photographs. I reshoot something 3 or 4 times. I don't just take one shot and walk away. I'll take a burst of shots and then I'll take another burst of shots. And when we're talking video, light is just so important. And turns out that's really important for stills as well. This idea that light is so important is something that can be really hard to learn because we hear the words and it doesn't necessarily mean anything personal to us. And the way I like to think of it is, if you've got good light, then anything can look good in that scene. If you have bad light, then it doesn't matter how interesting or beautiful or amazing or unique your subject is, you've still got a bad shot. And as to what good light is, well, that depends on the style you're aiming for and the technique you're trying to use and the conditions you're working with, and there's a lot of variables there. I've done entire videos about good light. Almost every workshop I run, I'm going to start off with a talk about light and just try to get people dialed in. I've seen a lot of video people who actually don't really understand light at all. They've come into video from a different angle. They've come in to create stories and they haven't come at it from a photography perspective. And I think when photographers come across to video, then often they're coming at it from, you've got to get the light right. Whereas a lot of people who've moved through the video realm, they're just trying to get a job done, right? They're being a little bit more pragmatic. They're not being so specific with their light. If you just look at the people who are at the top of their game, they're people who really understand light and are getting the best out of it. And it's not about the camera gear that they have. They might have some fancy camera gear because they have a Hollywood budget to shoot with. And so, yeah, they can afford some pretty good cameras, but they're spending their money on lighting as well. The lights is where they're getting things done. And that's really the opportunity for you as a stills photographer. If you're feeling you're not getting the shots you want, the starting point is light. The starting point is not what brand of camera you're shooting with. It is not even the lens. It is light. Light is what can guide you out of that mess. If you're not feeling great about your photography, if you are struggling, then I guarantee you finding some beautiful light, that is going to make the difference. If you want a really simple example, if you want a starting plate just to show yourself that you can get a different shot. So if you're struggling and you just need one scene that's going to be different to what you're currently getting and you just want things to change, the window light. Look for the window light. And by that, I don't mean where the sunlight is directly streaming through. I mean the opposite of that. I mean, if the sun's on the other side of the house, go to the shady side of the house. But you've got window light and it's soft and diffuse and it's coming through at an angle. And you don't want it coming straight into your face. You don't want it behind you either. You want it coming in from the side. And I've got a softbox up here. Right there, I've got a softbox and it's doing what a window does. It's just got this nice, gentle light coming through, and that's why this scene looks good. This office looks terrible without the light. So trust me when I say it is all about the light, and that if you are struggling, then go find some nice window light, shoot across the light. You can shoot a little bit into it, you can shoot a little bit behind it. You can go either way, but make sure that light is coming from the side, because that's where the magic happens. So the question today was, how am I getting such great video off such a cheap camera? And as much as I love this camera and I think it's great value, the S5 Mark II is just superb. It's not the camera that's doing the work in this instance. It's actually the light is doing a lot more work than your camera. So go find some good light. Have a good day.